Oh yeah, here we go. We're live.
We're live.
It's always so nerve-wracking. Man, oh man. All right. Well, everybody, welcome to our little live stream, podcasty, whatever you want to call it, show here, where we talk about all things Central Oregon, from recreation to real estate. We're talking about developments and
What's
things. Just what's happening.
What's happening?
Anyway, this is my beautiful bride, Shannon, and I'm John, and we are the Crown Real Estate team. And
yes, we are.
Let's get cracking. Let's get talking about stuff. What's the first thing we always ask everybody?
Where are you watching from?
Yes.
Put down in the comments where you're from, what you're watching, or even maybe something you'd like to see us talk about Central Oregon too.
Yes, definitely. Questions. That's always a good one. Questions. If you have any questions, first of all, let us know where you're coming in from. Second of all, let us know any questions that you might have. Cool. All right. So with that being off the table, we should jump into our number one story.
Number one.
So what happened this morning? What were we doing?
Oh, we were at the Builders Breakfast.
What's the Builders Breakfast?
It is the Central Oregon Builders Association breakfast for the year. It kind of gives us the rundown on what's new, what's happening, and what is going on in the builders organization, which is really good. Yeah. To understand from their perspective, and also
you mean the builder's perspective?
The builder's perspective. Yeah.
So
see what you did there.
So yeah, they wanted to, it's a conference kind of thing that they put on. It's a couple hours long, and they just kind of talk about what they're seeing in the industry. But locally as well as regionally and across the state, they have a panel of people up on stage that kind of talk about the stuff that they're seeing. Yeah. And we weren't really going to talk about that today, but since it was this morning and since it's fresh in our heads, we should probably bring everybody an update about that. So that's what we're going to do. What was the main takeaway? What was your thoughts? How did it go?
I thought it was really interesting that, the building organization, the world is also still suffering from getting people to join the industry and, join the trade, I should say. There's not a lot of young people that are wanting to swing a hammer these days, and they're still suffering from that job shortage, which is also goes hand in hand about getting, new people to come to Central Oregon, to live here, to work here. One of the builders were saying that they need project managers and that it's really hard to find them. So that is also kind of goes hand in hand that, people can't afford to live here, so you also have to increase the wage to be able to afford to live here and all sorts of things. It's very complicated, but there still is an incredible job shortage. They were saying, I think 6,000 vacancies in Oregon for just all around builders, painters, general contractors, carpenters, all of those things. So,
yeah, definitely still a lack of superintendents, and they can't.
Superintendents.
They can't. I know. Well, I got my notes.
Oh,
you didn't have your notes.
Better notes than me.
So they are.
I have the pamphlet.
So they're short people. And, they can't find them. And, obviously they have to recruit outside the area, right? Yeah. So if they're recruiting outside the area,
it means they have to move here.
They have to move here. And if they have to move here, well, how much is the average house? Oh, I don't know, like $800,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't afford a house based on the wages there. So, again, it's a never ending vicious cycle. Well, if you want to attract more talent because of the unaffordability of our homes, you have to pay them more. And if you have to pay them more, then the housing gets more expensive. And it just never really, dog chasing his tail a little bit. So to that effect, the other big thing that they talked about was the newly kind of passed Oregon Senate Bill 1537, which is one of the things that we're going to talk about today.
Which is, we've talked about this before. We were talking about this. I was coming down the pipeline, but
let's see if I can put it up here. Boop. There we go.
Ba-doop, ba-doop.
There we go. Senate Bill 1537. And this is literally addressing Oregon's basically our affordability issue. It's a big issue. And it comes down to a lot of the land use laws that Oregon has that are, for lack of a better phrase, they're outdated. A lot of these UGB land use laws that came rolling around back in the 70s and 80s don't really work in today's economy as far as housing. And so because we have this massive kind of gap in the affordability, there's basically kind of an emergency thing where we got to fix this quickly. And what's actually great is the Oregon governor is on board with this. So this actually finally passed with bipartisan support, which was kind of amazing. And it's to address the affordability crisis. So there's a couple different components in this. Let's talk about those. So the first big thing that it does is it talks about down here. It actually creates a housing accountability and production office. Housing accountability. You see, because the governor wants to, how much, what is her goal for the years?
Her goal is 36,000 units a year to be built, affordable housing.
Yes, because we are currently 140,000 units short.
Yes.
And we'd need to produce over 440,000 units over the next 20 years to keep pace with demand. That's a lot of homes. So here we've basically created, and I'm not a big fan of creating, government offices and things for the heck of it, but there does need to be some sort of accountability and some sort of oversight to make sure that we are actually able to produce these homes, right? And so they're going to provide all sorts of support for builders and for the government to understand the challenges that builders face so that they can streamline some of these operations.
And they were also saying, like, because there was a panel of builders up there that were saying that different areas have different, restrictions or challenges more. And so with having these accountability offices, they'll be able to be more boots on the ground and understanding the trials and tribulations of each area.
One of them being, things like SDCs, and we can actually probably talk about that a little bit later on. As well. So the other thing, and so the secondary thing, there's in my mind, there's three big things that this thing does, which is great. But the secondary thing is funding for housing production tools. And that's the way that says that right there. Really, it's a $500 million investment from the state for infrastructure. And that's actually really critical because the last part what we're talking about is the land supply. Remember, the UGB kind of closes off the ability to just develop anywhere. And so we're developing all of our infrastructure, meaning power, water, sewer, the roads themselves. It's just right. Hang on. It's just right. It's just right here, right? So if that's it, if you buy a chunk of land out here, you grow the UGB. The cities right now, they don't have the money to extend the water and the sewer and the power out there. So in the case of, remember, Discovery West.
Yeah.
In Discovery West, which is a premier neighborhood over on the west side of town, the developers came to the city and said, "Hey, we're going to build this 1,000-home neighborhood out here on the west side of town." And the city said, "We can't help you. We can't provide sewer or power or roads out there. If you want it and you wanted to make this neighborhood, you got to do it yourself," which is kind of strange. They're just So
it should be more of a partnership.
Yeah. So because it was a, kind of a high-end affluent neighborhood and there was 3 or 4 other groups of people that were also developing out there, they all pooled their money. The developers pooled their money to create the roads and the sewer.
You got to remember that there's whole sections of Bend, Southeast Bend, that still is on septic. Yeah. They don't even have sewer. Not everybody is tapped into the city sewer yet. I mean, because our city is growing so fast that the infrastructure is not there.
Right.
And that's another reason, just like fiber for internet, not everywhere has fiber. So it's just the trials of growing so fast.
Growth. But this is great because there's a $500 million investment package from existing state resources to unlock more housing production by providing the actual infrastructure so that now if there's a chunk of land across the street from the UGB that you can't really get to, well, now we can actually, the city can help, or the, whatever this particular fund can help get infrastructure there so that the builders have land that's actually shovel ready, which is really important.
Yeah.
Rosalie, I just got to say, hey, how's it going? You've been a great fan of ours for years. Thank you so much for watching and thanks for, posting on our, hey, wait, let's see, how do I do this? Show. She's agreeing, saying exactly. Thank you so much for for joining in and tuning in with us today. So then the big thing that this is, well, we think is the big thing that makes this a really successful package is the it's kind of a one-off where cities are allowed to reach out and grab some new land and bring it into the UGB. Now, the way this works normally is it's like 20-year land supply. You have to wait all this time before you can reach out and do it again. In this particular case, you can just go out and grab some extra land and bring it in if you need it. Almost all the communities need it. Not necessarily every community needs it. Some communities don't want to grow. Some are looking to grow. Bend desperately needs this.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you said it's kind of outdated, the UGB. I think what the biggest problem was, it just didn't forecast properly.
yeah, well, Bend's not a cool place to live or anything.
It's definitely.
So why would we grow? Why would anybody want to move to Bend, Oregon?
I know. It's just like, what? Where's Bend?
I've never heard of it before.
I think it's near Portland.
So in this particular case, and this is actually kind of interesting because we were able to talk to one of the ladies that helped put this through today at the breakfast. They originally made this. It's right now for cities over 50,000 people, or maybe it's 25,000 people, maybe it's 50. It's 100 acres. And under, I think it's like 75. So when they originally proposed this legislation, it was 900 acres.
Yeah.
And it was like a one-time group to bring in a one-time grad to pull 900 acres into the UGB, which would have been amazing, which would have been incredible, right? But of course, they knew what was going on. They started high, and they, basically over the negotiating process, they got it down to 600 acres. And then the environmental groups came in, and they were just like, no way, because they are convinced that we are going to, just burn the whole state down with all these homes in rural areas, even though it's not really that rural. And so they basically whittled it down to 100 acres. So 100 acres into the state. With that being said, 30% of it needs to be, these are the next two parts down here. 30% of it needs to be for affordable housing. Deed restricted, affordable housing, which is fine. Great. That's the whole point, is that we need more affordable housing, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So climate friendly homes, that's one of the things that they put in there as well. Trying to ensure that, the homes are green and energy efficient and stuff like that, which is fine, because little did I know, actually, today we learned that Oregon has some of the most energy efficient building codes for residential real estate in the country.
Well, if we already have the most efficient codes, like,
gotta be extra efficient.
Yeah, I won't go there.
Extra efficient.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else. That was really interesting. There's also a land swap provision in here, which I thought was really
that's super interesting, actually.
You remember what that was about?
Kind of. So like, if a developer already has a chunk of land that they're not able to develop on, and there is another plot of land outside of the UGB and they can build on that, they're able to swap that. It's kind of like a in kind type thing.
Wild,
so
right?
And it doesn't even have to be like there's 5 acres here and there's 20 acres here. They can literally swap those, and therefore the land that they originally owned would be not developed, and then the other one could be developed. So that one could be turned into a park or something like that, something that is enjoyable for all the other people.
I thought that was totally wild.
Which I think is really great, because if you buy something and you find out that you can't do what you want on it, or it just doesn't pencil,
right,
and it could help the developers, which they're just trying to build houses. So
seriously, we're just trying to build houses. So anyway, that's the update on Senate Bill 1537. It passed. It's going to happen. Look, it's not a perfect bill by any measure. However, it is such a great step in the right direction. And again, because of the HAPO, the Housing Accountability and Production Office, being implemented, I think that there will be I think that it'll serve as a much better conduit to the Oregon legislature and lawmakers from builders, and be like, hey, look, this is what their problems actually are. and how can we help them fix that?
And with that Housing Accountability and Production Office, that's actually, are they elected or they are?
No, it's not elected. It's a.
What did she say? It's an actual like a
Yeah.
job.
Oh yeah.
So
it's definitely a division. There's going to be
a
multiple
division,
people
and you
on
can
board.
actually apply for that. So if that is something that is looking for a job, or maybe you would be really great to sit on this platform, go check that out.
There's a guy that
I don't have a link for you, but hey,
there's a guy that was asked all about all of the water rights.
yeah.
And they were up there just like, well, if you know a whole bunch about water rights and building and all this, then why don't you apply? Like, get in there, like, you know. So anyway, that's pretty cool. Let's see what else we have in store today. Let's go back to our deal over here.
Probably shouldn't clap. The microphone's right there.
There's something that we noticed here. There's this chunk of land, and right downtown. This is Arizona, and what was the other one? Colorado and Arizona.
Which is super funny because John and I were driving literally down Colorado, and we're like, what is going to happen here?
Yeah.
What is going to happen
What's
here?
going on?
And then boom, here comes an article about this. I mean, this is a huge chunk of land.
Yes.
In like the most amazing location.
So what is it going to be?
What is it going to be? It's going to be a spaceship.
It kind of looks like a spaceship. It does. So this is even right here. It says a long neglected block and a half mile south of downtown features a 10-foot high mound of sagebrush and little else. Yes. Well, now it is going to be a state of the art. What do they call it here? A Nordic style wellness club. It will include multiple hot and cold pools inside a four-story structure. Woo.
4 stories. Think about that. That's huge.
A residential hotel component is also planned, although details have not been formalized. It's a Seattle-based company, and basically, it looks like the meat and potatoes of this whole thing is going to be that spa and wellness center. There's one currently. This company, let's see, what's the name of the company? Solterra is the builder, the developer, and they've owned this chunk of land for a little while, and they're getting ready to start working on this center. Now, it's expected to be similar to Cascada. That is a Portland health and wellness center. And I looked it up earlier, and it's actually not even open yet either. So this company must be like, yeah, once we get the first one up, we'll be able to crush on the second one. I assume that that's probably what we're going to do. In either case, it is going to be a very green style building. It's going to have it's going to have more plants.
This says living walls that appear to have plants growing and vertical surfaces, and a green roof that absorbs heat and filters stormwater.
Lots of greenness here. This is the lead platinum building. This Solterra has built several lead platinum buildings, basically super green, ultra high efficient buildings.
Yeah, but look at this picture.
Yeah, it's a big chunk of land. And then, of course, we've got this huge rendering. Yes, a lot of glass, a lot of plants inside. Gonna be really, really cool. It's fun to see. It's fun to finally see just kind of new and modern buildings and things coming to Bend. But like when you even when you drive down to like Medford and stuff, like they still have, like, granted they were built back in the like 80s or 70s or something, like they've got like big buildings, like skyscrapers and stuff, like not skyscrapers, just bigger buildings. When you drive through Bend, like there isn't anything really cool or modern. It's just all and again, that's been great for a long time, but I think we are kind of approaching that age where like we could probably have some cool stuff here, like cool buildings, like new high-end stuff. I don't know. I think it's just kind of cool. What's that?
Some new architecture.
Some new architecture. Yeah.
That is actually probably a very hot topic for a lot of people. They don't want these big 4-story buildings. I mean, you think about this corridor now. You're going to have
where's the
Jack Straw, right? Jack Straw right there. And then you also have the big, I call them the brownstones.
Yeah.
Which I think they're super cool on the inside.
Yeah. Box Factory.
And then you got the Box Factory. I mean, Box Factory is repurposed, which is super cool. But this is going to change a lot of the vibe going down that road.
Yes, absolutely. When you think about it, though, it's all, I mean, this is the kind of the last piece. It's huge. It's really going to connect a lot of it. So,
well, and also, I mean, what is that park that's called down right next to McMinimum's. They've had that chunk of land for a while in which people tried to develop that, and people got really hot over that.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. This will be interesting to see it take shape.
It'll also lend itself to a lot of walkability for all the people that live down there, like right in here in this area. There's a lot of people that actually live there, and they live in these tight little spaces without yards and stuff because it's kind of more urban living. Yeah. Even behind us, there's a bunch down here. Base camp, and they're going to be able to walk here and do their hot and their cold plunge and just have a good old time. It's going to be very cool. All right, next story we're going to talk about quickly here, because we are crushing it on time. We're doing good. Is the U.S. Highway 97 North Corridor project? They think they're going to finish this by the end of the year.
I mean, they are hot dogging it right now. I mean, I can't even believe it's like taking shape, and Empire has it's all cleared out and stuff. It's just really changing the landscape here. But I think what's interesting, because I think we've talked about this on every single podcast, is that this road. But what the most interesting thing is, and I'm just going to take over right now. Let's talk about what's important. Is Costco says it's going to be finished by August.
I don't understand how they.
Okay.
Just for context.
There's
not a stick in the ground yet. There's not a single stick in the ground yet. They pushed a bunch of dirt around.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how much dirt they've moved around.
And they think they're going to be finished in August. We couldn't build a 1,500 square foot single family home.
You ain't got the budget of Costco, though.
Dang.
I'm so impressed. Honestly, I think. I mean, because so the road and all the corridor is not going to be finished until the end of 2024, but Costco will be open
before that,
August. And they say, and I don't know why I think this is so cool, is the Thursday they close down the old location, the new location will open on Friday, fully stocked. And then they will inventory out the old one.
So like East Side one is going full capacity. They don't do a sale. They're like, hey, we're moving locations. They're going to whittle. It's just going to be like normal. Go there on a Thursday. Yeah. Everything's the same. And then Friday it's closed.
Yes.
And the other one's open, fully stocked.
All your employees come to work at the new location on Friday.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
It's very efficient. It's got that much efficiency that I believe them. If you build it, it will open.
We actually go up in about 110 days, and then we have about 20 days of moving inventory into the building.
But you think about it, it's just a big, giant metal building.
But it's a gigantic metal building.
I would love to see the logistics on the project manager sheet on this. I want to see the spreadsheet.
You are like that.
I geek out over that stuff.
She wants to know what makes Disneyland and Disney World tick. She wants to walk through the stuff underneath.
I want to go underground. I want to see all of the schedules. I mean, I am the logistics.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
I don't know. I'm happy as a clam if this thing opens by August.
It is impressive. Wow, look at this.
What?
Hang on, let me bring this up on the screen so everyone else can see it.
Yep.
Developers right here contributed $5 million to the 2 roundabouts at the new location of Cooley Road and Roval Lane. Weird.
It's not weird. It's the same thing you're talking about, the infrastructure for Discovery West.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
These builders and developers are having to pay for the infrastructure, which it just increases all their costs.
Because the city can't afford it.
The city can't afford it.
Okay. Moving on. Couple more stories here we're going to talk about.
This is huge.
Yeah.
This is huge for the town of Sisters. Let me tell you. I grew up.
Preach it.
I literally played softball in this field at this elementary school. I'm here or there. And so this to turn out of North Locust is an absolute nightmare to go left.
It is.
Nightmare, especially if you're on rodeo weekend, quilt show weekend, you ain't going nowhere. You're not getting out. And so this roundabout, because they did the other roundabout at the north end of Sisters
a
couple of years ago, which has been huge because now they have a bypass that you can go through Sisters and go out and around and not have to go through Sisters, which is great for the bigger freight trucks to go that way versus going through downtown Sisters.
Yes.
Which is great. But anyways, everybody needs to be aware of that certain either northbound or southbound will be closed on Locust when you're going through Sisters.
Oh, yeah.
On various points through this year, which I mean, I think I read somewhere that they're trying to finish this up, most of it.
I bet it'll say in here.
In August or
you look it up and I'll keep talking. So yeah, they did one on the outgoing side of Sisters if you're heading towards the mountain a long time ago. Well, not a long time, just a few years ago. And it's really important to have both of them because it's easy to go if you're heading over to the valley. It's easy to take that first right there at this roundabout and then zip around behind town when it's really, really busy. But you can't come back this way because if you go the back way, then you have to take a left. You'll never get out of the road. It takes forever. We'll see. Complete by Memorial Day.
I love this quote by this guy in Townsend, his last name. What happens in case like this? Most all the locals know how to get around things, so the signing doesn't matter too much to them. Like, if you're a local, you know how to get out of Sisters, which is so true. It's so true.
Well, sometimes you got to take a right and then take a left and then go around the block and come back to take another right.
Forward all the way out through Cloverdale, you'll get to Bend eventually. But so they were saying North Locust Street will be closed until May, forcing locals to take different side streets. And then from June until September, South Locust Street will be closed.
Okay.
Which, I mean, you're going to have major construction happening in Sisters through rodeo weekend and all that kind of stuff, which is yikes. But it's super great because it's going to help the flow for Sisters, which is really great because God forbid they ever get a stoplight. They're never going to get a stoplight, but you know, roundabouts is a great option. And
I agree.
And I think they say in here why they chose that versus a stoplight. But it's super great. I like it.
Cool. Last thing we're going to talk about. I was just kind of poking around because we always like to bring new developments to you, like new things that nobody really knows coming. And I was poking around. There's this chunk of land that I've been wondering about forever and ever and ever. It's over off of Wilson. And I found out what it is. And I found out, look, check this out. Let me just blow this up. This is Bend. And what you do is when you're going around town, there's like every once in a while, you see these random little chunks of dirt. Like this all used to be a huge chunk of dirt. And now there's houses there. And this used to be a chunk of dirt. Now there's houses there. And what's funny is this is now currently a huge chunk of dirt. And there's just got to be something, like somebody's got to be planning something. So here we go. This is Wilson right here coming through. That's Ponderosa Park, if you're familiar with 15th there, 15th and Wilson. And this has just been this little sagebushy area for.
Yeah, you have Larkspur Community Center, which has been Park and Rec's newest fitness center right here, which is gorgeous. Yeah, it's also got one of the best playground parks for kids, FYI. It's got different stages. So you've got little kids, they have a good area for that, and medium-sized kids and big kids.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So it's
So this is a big chunk of land here, okay?
I digress.
Totally. And we found out what it is. It's going to be this. And I don't have a whole lot of details on it. This hasn't been completely approved. It's still in the planning phase. It's in the planning application. It is
had a name.
They're working on it. What's that?
Okay. It had a name, I thought.
Wilson Development?
Is that
property owner?
No, it had a name.
Wildflower Master Plan. Oh, Wildflower. Yes. So it is a tentative phase subdivision, but it looks like it's going to be a bunch of multifamily units. So again, kind of looking at it here, I think this is really cool. These are all individual. This looks to be maybe a 4, maybe a 6-plex, but there's going to be a few of them. This is going to be some green space running around in here. Green space looks to me like it's going to be a lot of, individual or multifamily units used as rentals, or maybe they'll just sell them. It's a little tough to know.
Well, look, go back here. We're going to discover this together, people. Right?
Multifamily community, 64 residential structures.
585 units.
Total. Wow. That's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of land too, I guess.
30 accessory structures of residential zone districts within the Wildflower
Master Plan Development Site.
Accessory structures.
I don't know. Yeah. Is that like
tiny homes?
Or tiny homes? That'd be kind of cool. Master Plan site for a food truck court plaza.
Oh, so that makes sense. That big yellow. Yeah.
Let's see. Approval. No,
Got to have that tree retention.
Yep.
Yep.
That's another thing that we're working on. We'll probably have an update for you that next month is
Mhm.
where they're at with the new tree thing. Interesting. 8
Mhm.
subdivision, 8 lot subdivision, master plan, phase, residential medium density, residential standard density. That's interesting. So this won't all just be multiplexes. There's, of course, it could be, because kind of zoning doesn't really mean much anymore. You can kind of go build wherever you want on whatever you want, but interesting. Okay.
Super interesting. We'll keep our eye on this and see
Yeah.
what else comes from it. I mean, obviously they're still really far out.
Yes, definitely.
They're not as fast as Costco.
It's such a massive building.
Now, we should be clear. The gas station and the car wash will not be open by August.
Okay.
Just the building.
Just the building. Like it is now.
I'm just shocked. We should have a countdown clock on our podcast for Costco's opening.
So the next podcast, the rest of that we do, like, yep,
we'll just
90
reference
days
it,
out.
just so everyone knows. Costco is 135 days out.
Again, just for clarity, not a single piece of metal sticking out of the ground yet.
I mean, we haven't driven by it lately, so who knows?
Well, a week.
We blink.
All right, guys, let's see. Let me go over to, we're on the comments right now. Doesn't look like we have any questions or comments right now. So we can go ahead and sign off if you want. We good?
Yeah.
Guys, thanks so much for joining us today. Look, we're trying to bring you information that you're not going to find anywhere else. So unless you do a lot of digging, or you read the bulletin every single day. So thank you for joining us. If you guys want to know more information on any of the things that we talk about, it's easy to look us up and stalk us and find our information down below, or go to our website at cromrealestate.com and shoot us a line. Whatever it is, we'd love to hear from you. And remember, if you or someone you know is looking to buy or sell in the area, we'd love to be your real estate resource of choice.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. And if there's certain topics that we're missing that you guys would really like to know, put them in the comments.
Yes.
We read them.
We'll
answer them. We'll talk about them.
That's right. Awesome, guys. Hey, thanks so much for watching.
All right.
We'll see you next time.